Come on, turn on the mic. Sorry, guys. For some reason, it should have automatically turned on the mic. Anyway, we're now mic'd. Meanwhile, the British Columbia government has been funding an anti-vaccination group called Health Action Network Society for over a decade to the tune of nearly $500,000. And what have they been doing with that money? It's rather interesting. New York County in the U.S. has taken the unusual step of banning minors, that's minors, not minors, from public places to stem the tide of a recent measles outbreak. Catholic Watch, Pope Francis claims the fight against pedophilia rampant amongst his clerics involves spiritual combat. I have no idea what that means. That fighting ghosts, whatever. Eye on Islam. Okay, this is awful. The barbaric Sultanate of Brunei on the island of Borneo, and it's surrounded on three sides by Malaysia, has made homosexuality and adultery punishable by stoning. Great. So you've joined Saudi Arabia as barbaric states. Great. That's just wonderful. We comment on an NBC news report on atheists in Iraq and the oppression they faced. And a kind of a good news story. No, this is around. I'm sorry, that was the next one. This one's bad. Ahmed Bamji, chairman of the Mount Roskill Masjid A Umar Mosque in Auckland, New Zealand, and this is in the aftermath of the Christchurch shootings. He claimed that the shooting was a Zionist plot and that Mossad was behind it all. Like, way to go, dude. Masih Alinejad, an Iranian activist, publicly calls out so-called feminists who wear hijabs in solidarity with Muslim women. And we look at this in the light of recent tweet by House of Representatives member Ilhan Omar. And we have a few other stories involving medical assistants and dying at the tail end. So anyway, how do you like my hell fire? You guys can see it, right?
I love it. I noticed it. I was just on mute for a minute.
I'm in hell. Yes, I'm even wearing the red. That's great.
Oh, nice.
So I'm color coordinated with the flames in the background. I am flaming. Yeah. So, how's everybody? I mean, it's been a while, Chris. You've been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. Can't complain.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. What's the point?
No snow. What can you say? That's great.
Yeah, finally.
Okay. Where should we go for first? I guess we'll go to the Charlie, you found this. Atheists are mutants dissecting a genetics paper without genetics, which is kind of silly. It's like I went back a little bit. I didn't read the full paper, but it's a genetics paper that doesn't have any genetics in it, which is kind of absurd.
The language they use too. They aren't geneticists for one.
Yeah.
They're talking about genetics, but they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Well, they're using proxy measures and measures of genetic health and mutational load. So, things like ill health, autism, and left-handedness, which are definitely genetically linked. If I went to the abstract, and this is one of the claims that they made. We argue that religion is a selected trait that would be highly sensitive to mutational load. I have a problem with that.
What is mutational load?
Yeah, I guess there's probably a definition for that, but I don't agree that religion is an actual trait. Looking for causal agency, that's a genetic trait, and I think that's what religion is a manifestation of looking for a agency in events that are beyond your control, like lightning. You only have gods throwing lightning bolts. And from that you get religion, but I don't think it's necessarily a trait. They also further argue that a specific form of religiousness was selected for in complex societies. Yeah, religiosity is probably the best.
That's what I would think, yeah.
Yeah. Up until industrialization based around the collective worship of moral gods. That's just a refinement of the agency detection mechanism gone run amok. This just to me is one of those papers that really makes a mockery of evolutionary psychology. That's my feeling. But it's cool.
they're actually arguing something that science actually finds the opposite of. They are saying that this diversity brought about by industrialization, because our population exploded after agriculture, industry, etc. Since then, they're arguing that this explosion of people, this explosion of diversity, is causing mutations to make people less religious. I don't understand how they can.
They're reaching.
Okay, so back in the day when there were less people, you could behead people for not being religious. So now there's lots of people and lots of genetic diversity, which they're calling lack of religion a mutation.
Yeah, it's one of those things that is a very complex issue. There's not genes for everything, right? Like, it's interactions between genes that are what produce. Like, it might be like when they talk about a gene for alcoholism, we're talking about something that might have a 1% of the overall that gives you a little bit, pushes you a little bit more to susceptibility to alcoholism, but there's no gene for it.
Yeah, they haven't even pointed to a gene or a set of genes. They're talking about personality traits, even calling basically intimating that this is brain damage.
Or that it's a superpower. And
that all mutations are bad. When in fact, when you have diversity in populations, tell them that. When you have diversity in populations, you tend to survive better. So, again, they don't know science. They don't know the scientific verbiage. The words they use here are insane. It's like they came out of a Bible college philosophy class and plopped this down as evidence that non-religious are brain damaged, prone to left-handedness and other things because of these mutations that are now being allowed to flourish.
Are you saying that brain damage, like left-handed people, are brain damaged?
That's what they're saying in the article. They actually say well, you said it yourself too when you're reading the abstract.
Yeah. Well, they don't necessarily say that it's a bad thing. They don't mention that here.
Hold on. I got so many windows open here. Yeah. Shoot.
Did you go behind the paywall to get this?
Oh, God.
Oh, there you go. See, you don't have the mutation.
Where is that darn article now? This thing's going haywire here. Okay, so they say here. Okay, these deviations would correlate with the same indicators because they would all be underpinned by mutational load. We test this hypothesis using two different deviations, atheism and paranormal belief. We examine associations between these deviations and 4 indicators of mutational load: poor general health, autism, fluctuating asymmetry, and left-handedness. What are they saying there?
So I'm just wondering if left-handedness is a trait of atheism. I wouldn't think so.
No, it's a deviation. It's a mutation. It's bad, and so is atheism and non-belief. All of this is bad.
It's a combination of gene gene interactions. It's not a single gene.
Well, according to them, it's all very simple.
Well, yeah, right. It's all very simple.
I'm going to mute because I'm on my furnace. Sorry.
Sure. Go ahead.
So this is a systematic literature review. I don't know what review of literature they did, combined with primary research on handedness, demonstrates that atheism and or paranormal belief is associated with all of these indicators of high mutational load. All four of those are indicators of high mutational load, which of course I'm absolutely certain they're saying is a bad thing because atheism is bad.
Yeah. So apparently, I'm right-handed. The only atheist I know who offhand who is left-handed is my brother.
But they've found this correlation somehow, and I'd like to know how, and why it's a mutational load, and why they've labeled all these things in these ways that they have with this ridiculous language that they're using.
So, and they're lumping atheism in with paranormal belief, which makes no sense. Define paranormal. Atheism is easy to define, but paranormal.
I'm stretching this a little bit, but I guess. Paranormal is bad because that's what causes you to be possessed. I don't know.
I'd have to be interested enough to go behind the paywall and get the paper, and I'm just not.
Yeah, with this language that they're using, it's actually quite appalling what their little conclusions are. Yeah. It's actually very insulting. Bastards.
they don't say where. Let's see. Where are they from? They don't say where the authors
did we mention what this thing was called in the first place?
Oh yeah, I don't think I did. It's the mutation.
Okay, so the title.
The mutant says in his heart. Apparently, only men are atheists. There is no God. The rejection of collective religiosity centered around the worship of moral gods is associated with high mutational load. So we are mutants, and our superpower is atheism. Fuck yeah.
And if you're left-handed...
okay, minus the left-handed stuff, because it's...
well, and the autism. Sorry. You're more likely to be autistic, apparently. Right. Bastards. Like... These guys are assholes.
Left-handed people being discriminated against
in the Bible.
Oh, my God, I could tell you stories. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure in the Bible it's a trait of evil people.
Yeah, well,
and that is why they try to make sure everybody's left-handed, because anything different, anything mutational, anything deviating from what their norm is bad and evil. Yeah. And this paper goes along those lines. So I'm pretty sure these wonderful people come out of some kind of Bible college.
It doesn't tell me where. Oh, here's the author and affiliation. Ulster Institute for Social Research in London, Umeå University in Sweden, and Western Illinois University. Okay, that's not like it was from Liberty University or something silly like that.
Ulster Institute for Social Research. These people should be rather like... Okay, my other hypothesis, and this again is a stretch, is that these people have met up at some Bible rival. They did a thing together, perhaps. Bible related.
We're talking about conspiracy theory now. You're going into conspiracy theory.
Well, this language is right out of these people's.
Yeah, they're actually
playbook.
Pussyfooting around the atheism is bad idea, aren't they? That atheism somehow damaged people.
Yes, mutated. All mutations are bad.
Autism. The vast majority of mutations that you, me, and everybody else has,
are just nothing.
Are not even noticed. They're in regions of the genome where nothing actually matters,
and considering all of our relatives crawled out of the ocean were all mutants.
Yeah.
These mutations that led to our origin.
Yeah, if anybody comes at you with the argument that all mutations are bad, those are the ones you hear about because those are the ones that obviously have an effect. The vast majority, and typically the individual has 150 gene mutations that are from that. Well, basically 150 genes that your parents, neither one of your parents actually had, or rather, the sequence of it. So
all of us,
quick calculation.
All of us are mutants. We're all accumulation of mutations since we crawled out of the ocean. So too bad. That includes you, you religious mucks who seem to think diversity is bad.
I should check into these guys and see what's. Somebody want to look that up while I go into the next story.
There's got to be something relating them to religion, because this is religious gook.
Yeah, look up the authors, and it'd be interesting to know. So just somebody mute and go. Find out.
Some mute and go search out who these people are.
Mute as mute your mic, because
right.
The typing.
Since I came up with the hypothesis, I will have
take
to.
a look. I want to go to the woke story.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? Okay. First, I gotta do this first, because there we go. Let's try that. Come on.
The Regressive Left Files.
Do I show up in this eventually? No, I don't, apparently. Okay, anyway, we're the Regressive Left Files, and let's go back to no, let's not do the Skype. Let's do, there we go. I appeared. Cool. Okay. Somebody send me down a margarita. It's getting hot in here. Anyway, I broke up with her because she's white. I mean, seriously, dude. Really? That's it? That's your whole...
So it's white.
You know, oh, this whole thing was terrible.
Yeah.
It's just a terrible thing in the New York Times. It's been a year since I broke up with my girlfriend, and I haven't told her the real reason. Wow, already he set the scene at how much of a douchebag he is. How gutless, how much of a coward he is. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
At 30, I woke up one day. Seriously, something clicked? I don't know. Took a deep breath, looked at her, and thought, I don't think I can date white women anymore. Pause for dramatic effect there. Oh my God. But the real reason I think I can no longer date white women isn't any of a bunch of other reasons. It's because in today's hashtag woke society, there is mad pressure to be hashtag woke. To be aware of the implications of whom you're attracted to and why. Which means that in the eyes of others, the color of the women I date is a big deal. Oh man, like I'm the problem. Like I'm betraying my people if I date white women.
You need to trade in your friends for people that are authentic and who support whoever you love and your relationship. Sorry, straight up.
Yeah, women. This guy's name is Christopher Rivas. Avoid him like the plague. Don't go anywhere near him. Cross the street if you know him and see him. Do not interact with this douchebag. He is scum.
What I don't understand about this guy is how come he's reduced women down to the color of their skin?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, wow.
And purports to be a feminist, I'm sure, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. He's woke, right?
Yeah.
Oh, how does he get here?
How does he know what background, like Twyla, you have First Nations background in you, right?
Right? I was thinking, oh crap, not First Nations, but an Asian Mongolian, because I have some Mongolian traits, Asian, and my one grandparent looked like Mongolian.
The Hun?
So, yeah, when the Huns went through, because we're from that Poland area where they went through, and they supposedly have millions of ancestors now that are, of course, Caucasian. So,
yay.
My son definitely has a black great grandparent. So, and you wouldn't know what to look at him. So, when he's reducing...
Did you do the whole genetic analysis thing?
I want to, because I haven't proven myself right or wrong either way. It's just... I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I've done both Ancestry and Me and 23.
Are you part Attila the Hun at all?
Not at all.
I haven't done it, and really the only reason I'd be interested in doing something like that is to, see potential health issues. I really don't give a shit what my racial makeup is. I really don't.
Mongrels anyway. I mean, right?
Well, exactly. I'm like I'm 57 East European, whatever, right?
Yeah, like I said, we've all of our ancestors crawled out of the ocean. So really, what matters? This guy here, though, is reducing women down to their skin color, not even to their ancestry. I mean, just skin color. If you're white, suddenly this is you. You're not part of my clan.
Yeah, it's totally him.
To the cowardice of admitting this to you. What was the excuse for him breaking up with that woman? If it was white later,
that would be interesting to know.
But did he say that to her? Obviously, this is coming a year later.
Well, he goes on about how she
knows now.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
If this is how he's telling her, well, yeah, that's another fucking.
A year later.
It's quite a long article. I was trying to scroll through it to get to the end to see what his conclusion was, and it's just as ridiculous as how he started out. So, really, there's no personal growth there at all. If anything, he's just.
Oh, he's
that's his conclusion. He can't date white women.
Yeah.
Skin color.
Yeah, he says, how did we get here? If everyone is so woke, why are things so terrible? I don't know. I think you're doing that to yourself, to be honest. But anyway,
because he goes on about his father. He goes on about his father having to look perfect and attract women and all, particularly white women or something. But he never married a white woman.
Yeah. Maybe
his mother is not white.
Anyway, what am I supposed to do? How do I love as a brown body in the world in a way that makes everybody happy? I fell for a white woman and she fell for me. Simple as that, but he doesn't leave it there. That's the problem. Yet I feel as if I'm doing the wrong thing by dating her. Am I the problem or is everyone else? Oh no, dude. No. You're the problem. Trust me.
I mean, if she's just skin, what the hell are you dating her for? What do you have in common with her? Obviously nothing.
Yeah, no kidding. God.
If that's the only common trait that matters to you is skin color, what kind of person are you?
Yeah. At the end, he says, I brought home a black girl in high school and my aunt angrily mumbled, oh, do you see him and that negrita? I should have spoken up. Yeah, you should have. But you didn't. Ayo, stop. I don't care about your damn opinions about how dark people are and how kinky their hair is. You ever look at old family albums? You ever look at me? You ever look at yourself? We ain't white, not even close. There. That should have been his attitude all along. But it's not. That's the problem. Who cares who you choose to see? He's worried about what everybody else is going to think.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what?
If that's your only reason for breaking up with someone, you're a jackass.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, if she didn't cheat on you, if you had a lot of things in common, why were you with her at all? Like, can't you look at those reasons at all?
Yeah.
If you were just with her because she was white and she was like a symbol, a status symbol to you, you're an asshole again.
Yeah. Yeah. It had nothing to do, his relationship with her doesn't seem to have anything to do with her.
As a person. He wasn't dating a person,
yeah.
He was
dating a skin bag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he was. And what an absolute shit human being.
Yeah.
And I know Gad Sad read this. It was funny. He was using the belt, the self-flagellation, which was funny. He actually started hurting himself. That was really good. There we go. So
to follow up on the last story, I searched research articles of one of those guys, Edward Croft Dutton. Even bigger gods developed among the pastoral followers of Moses.
Oh, yeah.
Cultural uniqueness and implicit religion. Bog off, dog breath, your talking pants, swearing as witness, and evangelism in student evangelical groups. The cultural mediation of hypothesis. Okay. This guy's a raving nutcase. I'm going into this Big Brother pilgrimage, examining Big Brother phenomena and the anthropology of religion, the negative Flynn effect, the eye glazing, like on and on and on. I'm sure we're going to find this with the other authors. So just kind of strengthens my hypothesis a little bit about these guys.
I think that's pretty self-evident.
Vindicated. I could go more on and on.
Damaged goods. Yeah, sure, dude. I mean, it's right up there with this guy named Spiegel, I think his name is. It James Spiegel? Wrote The Making of an Atheist. And it was basically, we all have daddy issues, apparently. We had bad relationships.
They probably do. So what? And none of the religious do?
Lots of, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. He had no control group, from a randomized selection of
these people don't know what science actually is.
Before I read the book,
they think it's true.
Before I read the book, I set out parameters by which I would accept this hypothesis, and I said, okay, you have a proper randomized control group, you have a proper randomized, randomized sampling of atheists, and you take a look at, and you have set up parameters what you have for good, bad relationships with parents.
And but that's actual science. These people can't do science because they don't know what science is. It's like pull it out your ass, religious person. If you pull it out your ass, it's true because you thought it.
Yeah, it speaks volumes.
God gave it to you.
Yeah,
God must have spoken to you and given you this wisdom. That's their science.
Oh, speaking of woke, I've downloaded this book. It's Woke, A Guide to Social Justice by Titania McGrath.
Interesting.
It's hilarious. I've only just started reading it, but I am quite enjoying it. It's funny. It's Titania McGrath is a pseudonym for a comedian, and he's a wonderful. He has a Twitter account. Well, actually, we'll call him she. And just the most hilarious tweets. It's
good.
Very, very. You'd almost think, well, it's very Poish. Like you would actually see somebody like Laura Penny tweeting this nonsense, and it just takes it to an extreme. It's really good. So I highly recommend this book by Nathaniel Rich, or no,
Rich. R-I-C-H.
Oh, no, sorry. Titania McGrath is the listed author. I can't remember the name of the comedian who it is, but so it's like $13 on Kindle.
Okay.
Anyway, it just came out this past month. So anyway, where are we at here? Oh yeah, Jussie Smollett. Oh
my goodness.
What a shit show that was. What a douchebag.
Wow. Yeah.
What a douchebag who, and hoaxes of this sort are not all that uncommon. But this one is different because for the vast majority of these hoaxes are to shine a light on other things that aren't getting the hoaxer feels aren't getting the proper attention. In this case, this was purely for personal financial gain, and he's still claiming that he was, this was all not a hoax. It just
okay. Saturday Night Live suddenly makes sense to me now. Get on this.
Well, yeah, pulling out the clues. Did you see that?
And how he's still going on and on about how this happened.
There's a K in here. Oh, it's another K. There's a third K. I wonder what that means.
And like this time, this happened.
that was good. Anyway, so he was up.
Plus, the police department is super pissed, and they want to sue him.
They're suing him.
Investigation. Yeah.
They're suing him for the, and I think he's getting off lightly at $100,000, which is the amount that they're. I mean, the amount of overtime that was put into the story because they thought it was a really serious, heinous act. until all of a sudden they investigated
These guys
and
were
found
paid.
Well, what does that say about the media too, right?
and some of the explanations were just absolutely absurd. Like, oh, these guys put on whiteface, and so he didn't recognize them, and then what?
Backpedaling.
So he didn't recognize the guys that he paid because they had the actual check. It's just, come on, Jussie, just own up to this. No one's going to touch him with a 10-foot pole now. But anyway, he was this is unbelievable. He was nominated for an NAACP award.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what happened to people like Kevin Spacey? When, I mean, his career's done. He's over. Because he committed an actual crime, I think.
Well, is this fraud, not crime?
This is also a crime. This is a serious federal crime. He's wasted police resources in investigating this, and all to get a better contract on his show, The Empire, that he's now been written out of, pretty much.
There you go. Good. At least there's consequences.
That's not enough. This guy shouldn't see the light of day. He should have been thrown in prison. People think that because the charges were dropped, that he was innocent all along. No. He made a deal to avoid prosecution. That's a totally different thing. They have him dead to rights. The evidence is so strong, and that's just the evidence that we've seen. The police have made it plain that there's a lot more, and it'll never see the light of day because he's not going to get prosecuted. Unbelievable. I know this kind of thing happens all the time in the justice system, but not this time. This one was a serious crime and should have been prosecuted. But anyway, one of his there's a star from Blackish, this comedy on TV that I've never seen. Anthony Anderson. He told Variety magazine that he hopes to see the controversial actor there at the NAACP Awards. And he said, "I hope he wins. I'm happy for him that the system worked for him in his favor because the system isn't always fair, especially for people of color. So I'm glad it worked out for him." Oh, Jesus.
How
Christ.
did it...
Well, Chris Rock took the piss out of him, didn't he?
What's that?
Chris Rock took the piss out of him.
Oh, yeah. I'm getting that. We'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry. I should have actually recorded what Chris Rock said, but it was awesome. It was epic. I love Chris Rock. But anyway, he at least he had the good grace to not show up for the NAACP Awards. And it's actually, in hindsight, it's a smart move because Chris Rock would have just destroyed him. Let's see. Yeah, here's what Chris Rock here I'll quote him. They said no Jussie Smollett jokes, and it's like, how do you wave? What happens when you wave a red flag in front of a bull? That's what this is.
Yeah, kind of like what was the Rolling Stones, "Let's spend the night together" or whatever, way back in the day when they were forbidden to say that, but it's like, fuck you, I'm going to say it anyway. And I think the Doors have a similar...
Yeah, the Baby Light My Fire. But it's just the stupidest thing to say to a comedian. Don't joke about this. Right?
Yep.
So he says, "What a waste of light skin. Do you know what I could do with that light skin? That curly hair? My career would be out of here. I'd be running Hollywood." What the hell was he thinking? You're Jussie from now on. You don't get the you no more. That you was respect. You ain't getting no respect from me. Fucking A.
Good, call him out.
Totally.
He's not helping at all. Smollett's not helping anything.
Well, that's what the superintendent of police in Chicago says. I mean, like, what happens to the next person who actually is attacked? I mean, say like Majid Nawaz was attacked, like the obviously, Jussie Smollett didn't suffer any injury in the attack. It was likely self-induced, right? Whereas Majid Nawaz really was, his face was just totally swollen, and obviously somebody did it to him. But people are saying, I stand with Jussie.
For what? Fraud?
Basically, yeah. I mean, they won't call out...
Double standards?
Yes, it's a total double standard, because they don't... A person of color can't possibly do anything wrong. Yeah, right. Ugh. Jussie, you're just an awful human being. Never seen Empire, never will. But
yeah,
apparently their ratings have gone way down because of this.
Yeah, good job.
Well, the cast and the producers didn't really uncouple themselves from them as far as I know. At this point,
they didn't. So, even Fox, is it Fox? Yeah, I think it's Fox that puts on that show. They kind of basically pussyfooted around the whole issue, but they wrote him out.
Yeah.
For the next 2 years, and I think that's going to turn into 2 years is going to turn into a lifetime. So.
Yeah, I'm sure he's ruined his. Well, you never know. Yeah.
What a douche. That's all you can say about the guy. What a douche.
Yeah.
He could have used his position as a gay black actor to do some good.
I didn't even know he was gay.
Nope. Yeah, well, that was the homosexual
thing.
What's that?
I've never heard of him until this incident.
Yeah. He's now made himself more famous, but
now he's a
bad reason.
He's a household name, and he's just
now he is. And it's right up there with Quisling.
What's up?
It's right up there with Quisling in Norway. Quisling.
Remind me.
My Norwegian listeners, all one of you, will understand the reference. Quisling. Well, you know what it means to be called a Quisling, right?
No.
No?
No?
A Quisling is somebody who's a traitor.
Oh,
okay.
Okay. Quisling was a Nazi collaborator in Norway.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. But his name has become synonymous with that, kind of traitorous act. There you go.
Yeah.
You learned something today. Hey, cool.
I did.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
There you go. Anybody want to say anything on that before we move on?
Nothing good. Carry on.
I don't know how he's going to redeem himself, but apparently he still has fans, so whatever.
And shame on the prosecutor's office for making this deal. It's just no wonder the police were pissed off and the mayor was pissed off. I hope this is an elected position, so he gets his ass kicked in the next, or she gets her ass kicked in the next election. This was bad. That message needed to be sent.
It's like a double standard for actors. Actually, one of the comedians, I think it was Colbert that mentioned it's nice or it's nice to know as long as you're rich, black.
Well, I suggested that the award that he should get should be named after O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, someone else brought that up too.
Yeah, some people said, you know what, I'll leave no stone unturned to find the real perpetrators, which is what O.J. Simpson said. So and of course, O.J. Simpson never did anything, but he knows who did it. But anyway, I'll say so. Move on. Quebec. Quebec.
Hey, do you want to take a moment to check the Facebook and YouTube?
I can never get the YouTube on my computer. My computer stinks so bad.
Okay.
And it has too much going on with all the web pages open, let alone.
Use some Febreze. It stinks so bad. I hate Febreze.
Can you pull up the comments on YouTube?
Trying here.
On Facebook, but. There we go. We have a conversation on YouTube.
Oh, yeah?
We do, yeah.
A whole convo?
Well, a discussion.
Two
Oh.
people.
But
More than one person.
yeah. Yay. We have listeners. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We appreciate
anybody
it.
want to comment on the? I'm gonna put up the. Anybody wants to call in 1587-288-1067, and anybody want. Oh, before you do that, I got to bring up the other Skype session. Let's try that. Eat out of here. Let's see. Nope. I'll bring up the secondary Skype, and people can phone in if they want.
Cool.
I don't see anything on Facebook for comments, though.
Me neither, but let me just check here. No.
Is it anything of vital interest?
Well, hang on, let me, check. I guess not really, but it would be fun to have them call in.
Sure, if you want to call in, give me about 2 seconds, and I'll.
It's not that it wasn't relevant, it's just that, a call-in would be helpful. And
Sure.
Cherry
Great.
says left-handedness was suppressed until recently, and it was never an issue in my generation, but I do remember my dad saying that kids got punished for being left-handed and stuff like that, right?
Wow.
Oh yeah, my brother was forced to perform right-handed until my stepfather finally gave up.
Wow. Yeah.
It's yeah.
Thank goodness we
What's
don't
up with
have those
that?
same stereotypes anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. People I grew up with were just left-handed, no big deal, except they were kind of a pain in the ass when it, came to doing graphic design with them and sharing a light table and, sitting next to them in a restaurant and all that kind of
Anyway,
so it was just each other.
All I can say is the lady who was left-handed in my office, she was accommodated with the right keyboard and everything else, so.
keyboard.
Well,
Keyboard's a QWERTY keyboard. You don't get a left-handed QWERTY keyboard.
Well, she had a special mouse and settings on the computer for that and all kinds of stuff.
Windows thing.
Yeah.
Moving on to Quebec's bill to ban religious symbols sparks condemnation in the province of Quebec and Ottawa, which is just across the river from Hull, Quebec. So they're basically retabling the same legislation that they did before to ban any outward expression of religion. It's Bill 21, an act respecting the laicity of the state, and it lists dozens of government positions in which people would not be allowed to wear their faith. How do you wear faith? Including judges, police. Okay, so these are the positions. I thought they were going to actually explain that. No, they're going to, including judges, police officers. That's already the case. Prosecutors, lawyers, court clerks, regulatory board members, school principals and teachers, and other people in what the government describes as positions of authority. Well, I'm not sure what to think of this, to be honest. It's got pluses and minuses. I don't agree with, for instance, what Justin Trudeau said. He said, "It is unthinkable to me that in a free society we would legitimize discrimination against citizens based on their religion." That's not what's happening here.
Yeah.
You're free to express it outside your
workplace.
job, the office that you hold. You're totally free. So there's, in that case, in terms of wearing a crucifix or whatever, you can as long as it's not visible, you can still wear it too. No big deal.
Yeah. Just like if I were in a position of authority, whether I'm a police officer pulling over somebody for speeding or, a judge, right? and I'm wearing that atheist symbol, I'm going to intimidate people that aren't atheists, right? And the reverse works too. If I'm, approached by somebody who looks ultra-Christian, I'm probably, with my Darwin fish in the back of my car, I'm going to feel a little bit intimidated.
The problem comes up when you get things like the hijab or the niqab, burqa. We'll get to that later. Things that are always going to be visible. In that, I'm not sure how they're going to deal with that. And of course, one of the big problems is that the Quebec National Assembly has this great big crucifix that they, prior to this, they wouldn't get rid of, which was pretty hypocritical, if you ask me.
I'm sorry, Randy, you just said something about you couldn't understand how you'd accommodate that kind of thing, but look at Edmonton. I think they made allowances for having like hijabi police officers and stuff like that. So there's a way to accommodate. Just to what extent do we
long since we've had Sikh police officers.
Yeah.
And there's an official Sikh turban. That is uniform. What's the word I'm looking for? It's approved for uniforms anyway. So it's very specific. But the thing is that an expression of your religion? And
it's an expression of your, unwillingness to abide by safety standards. Like a turban's not going to help you as much as a helmet. Let's put it that way, right? It should be in a crash.
That whole helmet, motorcycle helmet thing. Oh. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just shake my head and walk away. If you want to be unsafe, fine. I'm just going to let you.
Problem is that if you end up in a hospital on the public dime,
exactly,
we pay for it. And helmets they reduce greatly head injuries in motorcycles.
And how do they keep it on when they're on a motorcycle? That's what I'd like to know. How does it not fly off?
Well, you'd have to ask somebody who does it. I don't know.
I'm thinking it's not terribly common.
Yeah, I hope not. I have a problem with. I have a big problem with that. The studies have been done that show that there is a good 25% decrease in severity of injury and number of deaths.
Yeah, you would think they would, like to stay alive.
Yeah, I would be caught dead without armor on a motorcycle. I'm always
and I just made the case that this might be an exception, but in reality, I suppose you could make the same claim about, hey, if you want to do that, we're not going to be liable. But the reality is that we're a society and we do care about each other. It's got nothing to do with your religion, right? We just don't want people to fucking die, right?
Yeah.
Especially
I don't want to scrape your head off the pavement.
There's worse things than death.
Yeah.
And
and that's regardless of anything to do with, how I'd feel if somebody came up to me with some honking, religious symbolry, or if I came up to them with some atheist symbolry, right? And the intimidation I'd feel. Safety is strictly outside of that argument even, right? Mm-hmm. I think, anyway.
Yeah. It's
its own explanation.
I'm not a big fan of that accommodation. I think that's not
for safety reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, society does have some rights. So we pay for health care through our taxes, and so society does have some rights.
Yeah.
Oh. Where do we got? Right. So go ahead.
Sorry. Way back in the day, I would have thought, what the hell? As long as somebody was willing to defend us and, put me in front of, I don't care who they are or what they wear, if they're wearing a freaking tutu or whatever. But I've changed my mind because now I realize that those symbols can be intimidating to people. Mm-hmm. And as well as safety hazard too, right? So.
Yeah. All right.
But that issue was like in the 80s, wasn't it?
What? Which?
The turban
and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be the 80s.
So that's like 80s. Clearly I've changed my mind, but that's been a long time.
I was always in support of that.
But you were in support of it or not?
Of the turban and the RCMP, yeah.
You're supportive of it?
Yeah, always have been.
Yeah.
in the RCMP. Not of the safety issue.
No, not on the motorcycle.
That's my point, right? Yeah.
The thing is,
What's the intimidation factor?
Is it really religious, or is it a cultural thing? Well, I think in their case the turban is religious.
They say it's a religious thing. I have no reason to say it isn't. So.
And same with the headscarves that Muslim women wear.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't have much of a litmus test for what is considered to be part of their religion. For hijabs or niqabs, they say it is. That is, good enough for me.
I'll take their word for it. Yeah.
Anyway, so there was a big hullabaloo about this today. There was a demonstration opposing this legislation, and but I think they're going to push this through before the Quebec National Assembly recesses for summer, and so we'll see how that goes. It's going to definitely be challenged on the courts, no question.
Oh yeah, especially headscarves.
Yeah, hijabs. Don't call them headscarves.
Oops.
Maybe we need to have Dave Rand on here, who is from Montreal and who has a different take on things than we do, a little bit more secular than maybe we're, given our politeness as Canadians and our position here in Alberta, blah blah blah. Whereas Dave Rand is quite assertive about secularism, and I appreciate that very much.
Mm-hmm.
I do, but I just don't want to trample on actual rights, and that we have to be careful here.
Yeah. But people who are, again, it's not like you're imposing this on everybody who walks down the street. You're imposing it on people who are in positions of authority, who have the potential to intimidate their fellow citizens. And I'm not okay with that.
The thing that I would say is that if people cannot, if people have a problem with with the free expression of their religion while they're in those positions of authority, how do you know that you're going to be dealt with fairly by people who are in positions of authority who are religious?
That's exactly what I mean.
And I understand that. It's just this one's going to be interesting to see how it goes through the courts.
Yeah.
One person said, I don't think it's necessary. Is it on here? No. We're not France. We're Quebec. I don't. I've got such mixed feelings about this, but
so do I.
Anyway, this is the one where they take to the streets. Quebec is not France. Long live the difference. It's kind of funny because Quebecois try to tell us we're not Canada. Vive la différence. So, I don't think. I really do think it's gauche for anybody to wear a crucifix around their neck while they're in a public, and they're occupying
it's
positions
so common.
Public authority. Yeah.
I think it's
in a
very
position
gauche.
of authority.
Yeah.
Which is anybody. It's anybody in the public.
If you're gonna, parking tickets, and just that's all you're doing. I don't really give a rat's ass. You can wear, whatever. But if I'm being pulled over and I'm intimidated, or if conversely, if I'm wearing my atheist symbolism and I pull somebody over, which I can't do because I'm actually not a cop, but either it works both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so common though amongst some. It's kind of weird in Red Deer not to see someone wearing a little tiny cross somewhere.
Well, tiny one.
So,
that's a lot.
Earrings, little tiny. Men too.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody has an opinion on that, you can call in at 1-587-288-1067. You can see the number at the bottom of the screen. And here, this is a retitled piece in Forbes written by Carolyn Centeno Milton. That's an interesting name, Centeno. Does unconscious bias affect our sustainable lifestyle choices? This is not the original title of this piece.
And I had a hard time reading this thing again, the language they use and everything else, and the conclusions. They're so subjective.
That's postmodernism for you.
Hurt my head.
But the original title what if toxic masculinity is responsible for climate change? As if men fart a lot, releasing tons of methane, and women don't.
And the way they tried to figure out how men think, and men
and women are both responsible for climate change.
Exactly, but they gave them. If they gave a guy a flowery Walmart card, he was less likely to buy green stuff.
But we got to blame men. We got to blame men and only men.
Like,
just stop it. Stop. As if you're blameless. Women, feminists are blameless. Oh, please.
And they're trying to say women are more likely. I'm sorry, but as somebody with not a lot of money, I don't have an electric car, so obviously now I'm a bad
feminist.
Yeah.
Well, it's like that Green New Deal in the United States. It was an absolutely asinine concept. I mean, because only 1 out of 10 things in the Green New Deal had anything to do with climate change. We got to raise the minimum wage because climate change affects the poor disproportionately. I'm like, no, it doesn't. What are you talking about? It's just nonsense. In fact, they even say that climate change policy is an everything policy, and it's like, no, it isn't.
Well, I think there's a case to be made that it's affecting human lives, and that some people are going to be.
Didn't say that it wasn't.
Yeah, but some people are going to come out on the other side and not doing so well. I don't think that's an unreasonable claim to make.
But that's not necessarily discriminatory. Some people are going to come out badly, but is it going to be purely the low income bracket? I don't think so.
Well, I could see a potential for where it might be. If your property is worth nothing, where are you going to go, right?
Yeah, but that's going to affect everybody. Anybody's property could become nothing.
It's going to be deemed invaluable. What's up?
Anybody's property could become valueless because of climate.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty straightforward that the ones that are coastally located and under sea level and that kind of stuff. That's
you mean like the seaside resort houses?
Yeah, well, I don't know, like wherever the sea levels is. New Orleans, right? Yeah,
and there's a lot of who in New Orleans is actually above sea level. I don't care what your income bracket is. Doesn't matter.
Still, I think clearly it affected the people that were impoverished much more than the people that had money.
Okay, but so how does raising the minimum wage fight climate change then?
Well, I guess that's a connection to make, and I'm not gonna.
Well, like I said, maybe I could buy an electric car.
Still,
that's
to what degree are you going to be alienated if you don't have? To what degree are you going to be alienated if you don't have a fuck ton of money? I think your chances of being alienated and left over, or looked over, are substantially more so than if you have money.
Yeah. But it's still going to affect everybody, I think, equitably. I think it's the ultimate in terms of
in the end, climate change is going to screw everybody over. So.
Yeah, but there will be people less affected and more affected than others.
Someplace in say the Midwest, which is like Kansas, let's just say, does a tornado care what your income level is?
No, but those tornadoes are specific to that geographical region.
Well,
right?
Okay, let's pick someplace Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan becomes a dust bowl.
Well, let's pick somebody like my backyard. I could maybe start a vineyard in a few years if climate change, keeps increasing our temperatures.
Yeah,
They are saying
bonus.
Canada is
But people are in less advanced.
But your poor neighbor can do that too.
What's that?
But your
The
poor neighbor can do that too.
Yeah, because we live in a geographically more
Doesn't matter.
prosperous, I suppose, potentially prosperous area.
It's luck of the draw. It is luck of the draw. It's going to affect everybody. Totally luck of the draw.
Well,
yes.
The hurricanes seem like the places that were most affected by the hurricanes.
You're really screwed in Florida. Because of hurricanes. Hurricanes are going to be force 5 all the time, and we're going to have to start actually inventing new categories for hurricanes.
But the crappier building happens closer to where the hurricanes are affected. Like if you have a big city and you have a low-lying area, and they've developed there even though they shouldn't have. Like in Canada, they wouldn't have been allowed, but because freedom, they've built all these crappy housing in these low-lying areas, and they get more adversely affected than the rich people up on the hill. So,
and even that's just a red herring, because what does that have to do with fighting climate change?
Yeah, fighting climate change. Well, I can't afford an electric car.
And an electric car is another red herring. Electric cars do not contribute to fighting climate change. Good luck with that.
No, they use less. They put less carbon in the air.
It's
electric cars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you're using less gas.
But there's bigger factors.
But let's extend that thought. Where are you getting your electricity from?
Yeah, and how do you dispose of the batteries?
I don't know.
We haven't even got to the battery issue. That's a big one too.
But isn't that why they're making them? To reduce the carbon emission?
Well, the fact that we're making shit doesn't mean that we're forced to,
There's
I would rather not feel it. I would actually rather feel less guilt about the things I'm not doing. So thank you.
You're making me feel less guilty by buying an electric car, even though you're doing absolutely nothing to fight climate change. Which is what people do. They buy electric cars because they think they're doing something about climate change. They're doing nothing. They're doing absolutely nothing. And it's even worse than nothing.
When the tornado went through Edmonton, it was the trailer park that was more damaged because trailers can be picked up and thrown around, and
it's almost like
you're living in a trailer, you're kind of screwed. And Stephen,
are you saying that people in trailer parks are poor?
I don't
know. I think the one at Sylvan Lake was more about holidaying than anything else.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like Mustang Acres and Red Deer and that area in Edmonton. That trailer park would be poor people compared to somebody in a nice big sprawling ranch. So, and they were much more harmed than any other population.
Because they don't have any foundations.
Yeah. But there's in the end though, climate change is going to kill us all, but I feel like I always thought that if I had the money I could do more, because all this stuff, getting solar panels and everything else, it seems out of my price range right now.
Well,
electric cars, everything they say that you're supposed to start doing these things now to start saving the environment. I can't.
Yeah, the carbon footprint of just making solar panels is not small, and the transformers need to be replaced, and that's the biggest part of the expenditure. They need to be
we need to start seeing equations. This has a carbon footprint of this compared to driving this car. Overall, like including the batteries, including everything.
There's only one solution, and it's nuclear. Period.
Yeah.
It's the only way to go.
But that's big scary boogeyman.
Yeah, it is. It's a big scary boogeyman because people don't know about the newest generations of nuclear reactors. They're much safer now, and there's some that are liquid salt reactors, which are very safe. and they're, you know,
And
even
which
if they, something's
poli-
wrong, there's nothing, not a problem.
There was a politician that called it a sexy topic too, because it's easy to vilify and politicize nuclear energy.
Well, and for good reason. I mean, there have been problems in the past. You know, 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and various other accidents that have happened. But those were just tremendously old designs. It couldn't happen with today's designs. But you know, and Germany is taking all of their reactors offline. Now they're going in the wrong direction. What can you do?
Yeah, would you rather have coal or nuclear? I personally would take nuclear.
Yeah, coal is
But-
bad. Natural
Nasty.
gas isn't even that great. I mean, you're still generating carbon dioxide.
And coal has the added toxin of mercury poisoning. Woo.
Yep, and you know, the First Nations have disproportionately suffered from that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway. Oh, not vaccinated. Let's move on to. Oh, okay. Well, let's just go back to
Quack files.
Quack Tracts. Try Quack Tracts.
Quack Tract.
Come on, Quack Tracts. It'll get there.
It's time for Quack Tracts.
All right, it's Quack Tracts. This isn't really a quack track, but there's a series of articles in Global News by Heather Yourex-West. Unvaccinated, pockets of Canada vulnerable to serious outbreaks of disease. And
Well, I blame quackery for that because they're like,
Well,
use
true,
this
yeah.
instead
She's
of
not a quack.
vaccines.
Yeah.
She's
Of course.
not. But the people that aren't using vaccines are usually using quackery instead because they've been told it's better than vaccines.
right. And oh yeah, there's a horseshoe-shaped area around Lethbridge. Oh, why isn't this showing?
Good job, Wolfridge.
Let's go to the browser.
That's the same area
yeah.
where a child died of the flu a couple of years back too. A 2-year-old.
Right. Well, they've had a bunch of outbreaks. Rubella in 1996, measles in 97, measles again in 99, whooping cough in 99, 2003, 2004, more whooping cough outbreaks, 2008, mumps, 2009, whooping cough, same in 2012, 2013, measles, 2014, whooping cough or pertussis, 2017, mumps and whooping cough.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Very good. Super easy injection. MMR. MMR? No, sorry. You get the measles, mumps, rubella, and whooping cough vaccination.
DPT, whooping cough, diphtheria.
Yeah, detail.
Okay.
You know, they were saying some of these schools in southern Alberta are 10% immunization rates. Like just
That's
horrible
awful.
rates. Yeah. I mean, how fast would measles go through
Just saying, these are uber religious areas too.
Yeah, of course. Religious exemptions which should not even exist. And
Then
there's
we have to
several
account for the
communities.
New Agey kind of, buy-in too, right?
Them too, yeah. Anything, well, let's just say that anti-vaxxers aren't really represented
Critical
in the
thinkers.
skeptic community.
Yeah. Yeah.
For good reason. They don't exactly gravitate to critical thought.
Yeah.
So there's places like Smithers, British Columbia, or the Lower Fraser Valley, Red Deer, they're up your way.
I'm
Lacombe.
not surprised. We're always, lately it seems like we always have measles in Red Deer. So,
And in southern Ontario, Norwich, Brantford, St. Catharines. Yeah, I don't know. I'm personally in favor of your kids going to public school, your kids vaccinated. That's it. Unless you have a medical reason not to vaccinate, that don't even think about sending your kid here.
Totally agree. And I think it's not just your right, it's your responsibility. Well, it's not your right, it's your responsibility. And unless you can...
As a custodian
Yeah.
of the next generation of
As
Canadians.
As a citizen who's concerned about, the kids around you that are going to attend school with your kid, right? That, your kid's colleague might be doing freaking chemo or might be allergic to egg whites or something like that. Like, if the herd vaccination thing is a real thing, and if you're not buying into that, I'm sorry.
No, instead they're sending kids to school with tea tree oil in their hair instead of vaccines.
Yeah.
And apparently that's going to protect the whole class.
Yeah.
Yeah, no sods and everything else.
No sods are not an alternative to vaccines any more than voodoo is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the BC government has granted $428,000 to a group that spreads anti-vaccine claims since 2007.
That could have gone to education. That could have gone to... it kills me inside. And I was wondering how these people get so well funded and have these fancy websites and can spread their misinformation about vaccines and vaccine injuries so far and wide. $500,000 can make a group very effective at that, for crying out loud.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, BC, you bunch of flippin' idiots.
Well, and I think in a past show, did we not highlight developing nations that were basically...
Yeah, that was homeopathy.
Yeah, Canada was sending homeopaths to teach them homeopathy. And
these were people that were actually giving proper, immunizations, but the people certain people in certain third world countries were uncomfortable with that. So basically the health, care providers were basically threatening them. Hey, do you want this or do you want to die? Right? And that was their strategy, and yeah, it's unethical, but it worked.
And it's freaking true.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but it's true. I'm going to have a hard time. What government was that started under? The Liberal government there?
I'm not sure, but it seems to me like...
I can't remember. That's a good question. I'm not sure which government.
Idiots.
It was probably probably an international NGO, so we maybe can't even pinpoint a country that it, initiated from, but...
No, in this particular case in BC, giving $500,000 to anti-vaxxers.
Okay,
to spread their damn lies. That was a government grant.
So the president of this health
society
thingy,
health questioning society,
is named Ted Kuntz. There we go.
Kuntz.
Kuntz. I think he's a Kuntz. He did not respond to requests for comments from CBC, but has described himself as vaccine risk aware. Well, let's do that again.
Yeah, lying about how risky vaccines are compared to...
Vaccine
this guy
risk
has
aware. There we go. That's better.
$500,000 to the son of a bitch. That blows my goddamn mind.
Sounds to me like being vaccine aware would mean accepting vaccinations as part of science.
Nope, that's not what they did. Instead, they spread misinformation about vaccines. Doctors have finally started complaining.
More research. We need more research. I'm like, God damn it! No, we don't.
Asshole doesn't even know what research is.
It's the most, as a class. I keep saying this, as a class of pharmaceutical, it is by far the most studied. Of
prevention
any class.
And it's prevention.
And it's prevention, yeah. The whole idea, if people want to get their kids sick, it's like, well, the whole idea is kind of like you want immunity without getting sick to begin with. It's kind of what parent?
But you don't understand that
this?
It's the same.
Willfully.
Well, having $500,000 to spend on a misinformation network to turn a lot of parents off of vaccines.
And what did they do with that money? They screen anti-vaccination movies like what was that one that with
Wakefield thing?
Yeah, the Wakefield.
That kind of stuff, and then that one.
sharing content from anti-vaccination websites. Of course, you're not going to find it in science literature because it doesn't exist. And complaining about
to them,
censorship from
anecdotes
social
are
media.
research. So,
To be fair, that group did back down and didn't show that movie. And who was it
Yeah,
promoted
what was
by?
that called again? I want to say it. It's I think
didn't
it's
stop
in this
these
article
guys with
somewhere.
their $500,000 for sharing it, though.
But one of the
Yeah.
things they talk about here is the strategy of the anti-vax movement. They're very careful not to use the word anti-vaccination.
Well, they don't think they are.
They're questioning things. Question all you want.
Yeah,
That's a good thing,
legitimate
but
questions.
yeah, do it.
They aren't
in a
questioning,
legitimate
they're
fashion.
spreading lies. They actually spread lies. They actually tell parents do not vaccinate. They had $500,000 to tell parents don't vaccinate.
And they're complaining about being deplatformed on social media. And I would agree with them, except that you can't use social media to spread false information. That's the problem I have. Not their position, but that they are actually spreading false information. And that on that basis, they should have their platform taken away.
And the
Doesn't fall under free speech.
$500,000. I cannot get over that.
That too. Vaxxed. There it is, right there.
Yes, yeah. Promoted by Robert De Niro.
Yeah, he tried,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people complained.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
that,
so I think,
in his,
came to the good side,
film festival.
I think.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sure he's still an anti-vaxxer.
Well, probably, but at least he backed down on,
Yeah,
endorsing
at least
the movie.
he got pushback,
and-
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
people actually
accepted
said
it.
things.
yeah.
And after all that, New York County takes the extremely unusual step to ban unvaccinated minors, as in small kids, not people with pickaxes, from public places amid measles outbreak. So
It's an actual outbreak.
This is something that bothers me because, okay, unvaccinated people under the age of 18 are banned from public places in Rockland County, New York.
During the outbreak.
Yeah, during this
Not
outbreak.
100% of the time, just during the outbreak time.
I would extend that to anybody who is not vaccinated. I don't know why only the people that are lower than the age of consent. And those include, by the way, churches. So you can't take your kids to church if they're not vaccinated. There was a bunch of... basically any place that where 10 or more people are intended to congregate. So that would also include schools, I assume.
Yeah.
And just about anything else. But they're not actually. They just want to raise awareness, and they're not actually going to have police officers walking around, show us your vaccination papers, kind of thing. They just want to make people aware that there's a measles outbreak going on. If your child isn't vaccinated, keep them at home. But the thing is, if you're an adult, measles is far more serious and could be deadly. So
Chickenpox as well.
and you're still a vector if you're an adult. I mean, measles doesn't come up to you and say, "Hey, are you 18 or over?" Okay, I'll go infect somebody else if you're not over 18. No, it doesn't work.
Or
that
they're
way.
just trying to prevent some of them from getting infected, too. I guess they don't care about adults.
Yes.
Well, if you're an adult and you're carrying that, you might not break out in the symptoms as well, but you could very easily pass that
You
on.
could be a
on
vector.
to,
Yeah, you're a node.
Yeah.
You're a node,
Yeah,
and people get connectivity. It's all about connectivity, and measles is highly transmissible. So it's very
Through the air.
And I didn't make it clear, but chickenpox can be very serious in
yes,
adults
it can.
too.
Mumps can
Yeah.
too. Mumps can, in an adult
Yep.
can be very serious.
Yeah, no kidding, especially if you're a male,
Yeah,
because it
exactly.
shows up in the testicles. It swells
I mean,
up
I
in
don't care. I
testicles.
don't want kids. So
That kind of hurts, I think.
I was 15
sure it
and I
does.
honestly got the
But I
mumps
had
for no
those.
reason, so I was quarantined by my family because my Uncle Fred and he had brought some friends up with him to help build a house, and they were staying here for a bit of time, and I'm just like, you have to stay in your room. Like, I'm 15. What the fuck? It's summer. Bloody hell.
yeah. And then, meanwhile, you look like a chipmunk because of the.
Oh God, did I ever? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else got
But-
anything to say about that?
No.
Oh, well, they're trying. Not very well, but
All right.
I'm
Well,
really-
we'll move on. Sorry, what was that?
I'm really glad there's a chickenpox vaccine available because I'd never had the chickenpox when I was a kid.
No,
And I understand that if you have, you're going, your likelihood of getting shingles is,
I had
you
that
know,
too.
yeah, and I won't take the risk of that. So,
yeah, I'm getting the shingles vaccine as soon as I can. I hear that's nasty, so.
I gotta remember if I got the shingles vaccine or not. I don't think I did. I don't
If
think
you
I
had
did because I
chickenpox, it's
didn't need it.
irrelevant.
What's that?
If you had chickenpox, it's almost irrelevant.
No,
It
that's
might-
not right.
If the vaccine was made because as an adult you usually got re-exposed and re-exposed from kids, so you just constantly kept that immunity up until it's eradicated. Now this less exposure just actually makes you more prone to having the shingles pop out on you because your body's not constantly being vigilant about it and it's in your system.
Yeah, it's actually laying dormant, and then one day it decides we're gonna fuck with this guy,
Yeah.
and it pops up. It's
So the shingles
lays dormant
vaccine
nerves.
basically causes the body to be again re-vigilant, so it prevents the outbreak quicker,
But I had shingles,
so you don't get all of that.
no big deal. And
Yeah.
it was a very minor. I was very fortunate. It was a very minor outbreak, and I just had a big goose egg on my forehead.
Ouch.
No, it didn't even hurt. It was just weird. But I've got if you really look closely, there's a scar right about here from it. So I don't know. It's hard to see, but there's actual scar tissue there. Anyway, let's go to Catholic Watch. One story in Catholic Watch today.
It's a very weird one, though. Well, when is it not weird?
The Legion of Reasons, Catholic Watch. There we go, Catholic Watch. Oh yeah, Pope says fight against sex abuse involves. Let me just do this for a second here.
Spiritual combat.
All right. And it's just a very weird, yeah. After the Vatican Summit on Abuse in February, the Pope said he read a newspaper article that said he had, quote, washed his hands and blamed the devil for the abuse crisis. Well, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. And he kind of is still here in this article.
Yeah. Some things like the abuse crisis and child pornography, he said, let's see here.
Cannot be understood without the mystery of evil.
So yeah,
What the hell is mystery of evil?
the
There's
devil
no
did
mystery
it.
about it. It's like, pedophilia is fairly well understood. Problem
Yeah,
is,
but there must be
don't-
evil involved.
yeah, evil is
According to
it's a religious concept. It doesn't have any meaning once you shed the religious aspect.
devil made him do it. Come on, Randy.
Yep.
They were
We're
tempted
born
the devil.
perfect. It's the devil that makes us do all these other things.
And, Adam and Eve were born perfect, but we are fallen, right?
Yeah, fallen. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There must be some evil attached to that too.
And some of us twisted our ankles.
Original sin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But this is particularly more evil because it doesn't affect everybody, so there must be more devil involved.
That's crazy. He said that there is a danger the church would focus exclusively on laws and norms and would forget the spiritual weapons of prayer and penance to...
Yeah, because that's worked so
Defeats
well.
the spirit of evil.
There. Yeah, I mean,
Haven't they always had prayer and they still always had pedophilia?
what does prayer and penance add to anything? I mean, focus exclusively
Apparently they
on
didn't
laws?
pray enough.
I don't even agree with we should focus exclusively on laws. How about protocols in place where you don't have priests alone with choir, altar boys or altar children now? Where's that in this? It's nowhere.
Well, that's because you have prayer.
Yeah, apparently that's just that's great. Did you hear about there was some atheist organization having a meeting soon that Apologia is going down to, I think, and they were getting a bunch of people together in Cincinnati at the place where it would be and pray. And I'm like, we already know that nothing fails like prayer. We don't need another example. Just save your breath.
Well, apparently they need another example.
Yeah, seriously, when's the last time prayer actually worked for anything? The U.S. bishops' proposals for a code of conduct and a third-party reporting system, the Pope said, were too much like that of an organization. What? Isn't the Catholic Church kind of an organization?
They don't want to be an organization now, so they don't have to come up with organizational rules.
Okay, so we're too much like that an organization, methodological, and without their meaning to neglected the second dimension, the spiritual.
Okay, I'm sorry, you're in a goddamn church, you're praying all the goddamn time, you still got goddamn pedophiles. Something's not working here.
Yeah, well, they need more religion. That's the problem. Religion was, got us to this point. They just need more.
I'm sorry, I stepped away briefly and my furnace is on. But what were you talking about in Cincinnati?
There's some atheist thing.
That's probably the American Atheist Conference.
Maybe it's Cincinnati. Yeah, it could be. Well, there's this bunch of people that were on Twitter that were like, "Oh, we got to get together and pray for these lost souls."
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. See, how's that working for you?
Well, I'm happy if that's all they do, and they don't throw flaming torches at anybody or pitchforks.
And we'll be getting to some other stuff that we wish they were all. That's all they were doing. But anyway, he said the laity and everyone else must be involved, but the church is not a Congregationalist church. It is the Catholic Church where the bishop must take control of this as the pastor. I'm like,
okay, so the goddamn bishops are praying enough?
Well, not only that, but these are the same freaking bishops who hid all these crimes, if they weren't actual perpetrators.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the Pope must take control of this, and how should he do this? With disciplinary measures, with prayer, with penance, with self-examination. Oh, Jesus Christ, here we go again.
Haven't they been doing that all along?
I wish it would do something real.
But
that's not too much to ask, but they, from that meeting, the bishop's proposals for a code of conduct. There you go. That's something. But he's like, no, we can't do that. We have to have this second dimension, the spiritual. It's like, Jesus, you just don't learn, do you?
So you say you haven't had that all along with this? No, there's something new. Is it? Something new in your church? Really?
Yeah. He also said something else when he was down in, I think, was it Morocco? Recently, removing freedom of conscience is the first step to losing the freedom of religion. And I'm just like, wasn't it religions that kind of took away freedom of religion?
Kidding.
I'm starting to break my irony meter here.
Religions don't spread very well when you can believe other stuff. They don't do so well. I mean,
it's a pretty hard sell in light of more secular and plausible claims, right? Unless you're born into it and indoctrinated.
And everybody, believes the same thing and without challenge, and that's speaking of that. I wonder if we're going to get to that in the next story. That's a good segue. No, it's not. Anyway, this is the Mormon Church. It pledges to reverse its anti-LGBT policy.
But
it's still evil. It's still evil. So they're just not going to kick out of the church.
It's just lesser evil now.
Yeah.
They've reclassified it.
Yeah, so this is mainly a money thing. 1,500 people reportedly left the church in protest, and I'm sure it's higher than that.
Oh, way higher, because there was like lawyers on site, and after the fact, there was lawyers, available that were for people that weren't on site for that protest. So way higher, I'm sure.
Yeah.
People fled.
Okay, here's the reclassification though. As part of the changes, gay marriage would also be considered a serious transgression, but not an act of apostasy.
Yeah. So slightly more palatable for same-sex couples.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Kind of like when they said that. Kind of like when they said that if you're a good Mormon, your skin will become lighter.
Yeah.
You can become Mormon. Yeah, that's kind of giving up ridiculous thoughts well beyond their lifespan, if ever they were even. Oh God, so ridiculous.
Here's something that I find really interesting about this absolute morality thing. The leader of the Mormon Church is considered to have a direct hotline to God. But the thing is, it said in its latest statement, the church said that some changes to policy inspired by revelation are only for a short time.
What? One would think that the word revelation would imply that it's revealing and should be,
for all time.
Yeah. If not a long time, right?
Yeah, you'd think so. Yeah. Apparently they've never actually come across this guy named Euthyphro.
Okay.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, come on. You cannot tell me you don't know who Euthyphro is.
I totally do, but I need to be reminding because I'm drinking one this Sunday night. I've got a splitting headache and I'm tired.
That's an excuse. Okay. It's one of Plato's dialogues. Is Euthyphro, and Euthyphro is asked the question: Are things good because God says they are good, or that they're good because there's a standard and God is just passing that along? So this is taking the second one, because it's changing with time. I mean, how is morality changing? I mean, morality does change with time. This is the biggest problem that religion has when it's talking about.
Yeah, it's unchanging.
And it claims we've believed that all along. Oh, Christ. That's bullshit. You never did, right? You don't stone people. Okay. Some people stone people for adultery or homosexuality. Brunei. Brunei. Yeah. And, really, it's... So the next guy comes along and says, oh, I just had a revelation from God, and just totally reverses things. Why do you believe this shit? That's what I want to know. Why can't you see this for what it is? It's nonsense. Russell Nelson. He's headed...
And what's his name with the golden plates and blah, blah, blah. What's his name?
Joseph Smith. The fraudster who steers stones. Yeah.
I told you guys I was stuttering tonight. My brain just wasn't on pilot somehow.
Well, Joseph Smith sure know how to make an exit from this world. That's for sure. I mean, he was shot, bayoneted, thrown out of a second-story window. Somebody like him.
He went out in a blaze of glory, having banged a bunch of women and established fucking religion and all the bad things.
Was fucking involved. Yes.
Excuse my vulgar language, but yeah.
But the religion is still all good somehow.
Exactly, and spreading. Yeah.
Oh,
bizarre.
This is a different. I don't want to touch these stories yet. Here we go. So, I guess let's do this. Let's do this properly. All right, here we go. Come on, go. Take some time. Tick tock.
The Legion of Reason presents Eye on Islam.
There we go. Eye on Islam. U.S. citizens among women's rights activists arrested in Saudi Arabia. What else is new?
Big surprise.
It's like, which ones? So, apparently there have been 11 women on trial, and that were campaigning for the right to drive, of all things, because, you know, I don't know. Because women have half a brain, apparently, in Islam.
Oh, yeah. They're lesser then.
So they've arrested 8 people because of, you know, who were sticking up for these 11. And including 2 that hold dual U.S. Saudi citizens. And I don't hold out much hope for them because, well, Donald Trump is buddy-buddy with Crown Prince.
Yep.
Barbaric Crown Prince.
Yeah, and he can't do anything wrong, so...
So nobody knows what's going on, and there's been allegations of torture. Like, seriously, Islam, what is your problem with women? What
it's all religion. It's a problem with women. I haven't found one of those, like, main religions that doesn't have a problem with religion. Christianity had a horrible problem with women. In fact, you aren't supposed to be speaking in church or teaching men, or... I mean...
That's right.
Christianity isn't Christianity anymore, but no one seems to care, which is good. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in the position I am in life.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're actually arresting women for these so-called crimes of standing up for women's rights means that they're having an effect. So, you know...
Well, it's definitely fear-based.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extreme fear. That's the only interpretation you can have of this, that eventually that, you know, they're worried. What are they worried about?
Well,
I don't understand.
I think it's obvious, Randy, but I also get where, you know, if you can, you know, produce a critical mass, but if you can't speak to one another, you can't even look one another in the eye, how are you going to converge
Shake
if they're,
hands.
you know, connected? I'm talking about women. If you're not connected to the internet, if you're excluded from all of society, how are you going to organize, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole point, the control.
Yeah.
It just seems like incredibly desperate measures to, you know, like, what are they afraid of? I mean, seriously, what are they afraid of?
Well, that's the last gasps of dying religion, and they know it. So they're acting out and criminalizing bullshit.
I think they're worried women will treat them how they treated the women, just like they're worried atheists will treat religious how religious have treated atheists.
No, you won't, though.
I know, but they don't care. We're evil.
We're gonna, you know, harm them by arguing. Our words are, you know.
Well, yeah, it does hurt. Like blasphemy. Oh my God, you're gonna send us all to hell, you damn atheists.
I love watching the Orville.
Your damn words.
On television, the Seth MacFarlane vehicle, Star Trek-like program, because there's the alien race called the Krill, and they are so obviously religious fundamentalists. I mean, they're obviously that representative of our society.
Is that the ones that ate humanoids too? Like, maybe not.
No.
I haven't watched enough of it.
No, you should watch it. It's on Thursday nights on, so I was going to say Fox. It is on Fox, but it's also on Global, I think. Global for Canadian.
Oh, okay.
And I really like it because they did it like Star Trek, the original series did. It was, do you ever remember the episode of the original series Star Trek with the half black, half white, and the half white, half black guys, which was basically an allegory on the absurdity of race. And, and it was one of my favorite Frank Gorshin roles. People might remember Frank Gorshin on Batman, the original Batman television series. He was the Riddler. He did such an awesome job as the Riddler. Anyway, it's this fear of, obviously is a fear of losing control, but controlling why? Not of what? I mean,
well,
obviously it's women,
if you look at Western women, Randy, they're very disgusting and evil, and out of control and corrupting men. And they don't want their women like that.
Yep.
I wonder how much this goes back to original sin, but original sin, I think original sin was, there was already that misogynistic thing before that, but it's codified in a book that is the ultimate authority. Anyway, this whole thing is, I mean, I don't get it. I really don't. I don't know what it is.
That's because you haven't been indoctrinated well enough.
What are they really afraid of? I mean, what is the core?
Yeah, okay. Well, hey, Randy, I get contacted by people from Islamic countries, and very often it's men that are very concerned about their sisters and, this kind of thing, right? So the fact that they live in a patriarchal society doesn't mean that the citizens themselves, the male citizens themselves, are patriarchal, right?
Not all of them. A lot of them.
They have to shut the fuck up. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you
have to follow the herd. Otherwise, you're not living right. You're not pious. You're gonna go to hell.
Yeah. And dare I say that I think a healthy man who is interested in women in their genuine, I don't know, a genuine relationship, right? Why would you not want to enjoy all the aspects of them, right? Why would you want to cover? And, if you want to...
I want those 72 virgins.
No, I'm just thinking, what kind of a guy doesn't like the idea of his woman giving him a smack on the ass or something like that, right? It's kind of hot. And if you subvert yourself to...
Unless you're Joe Biden.
Whatever, but you know what I'm saying, it's an equality sexual thing, and to suppress your woman, I think...
Have you seen Pence and his mother?
I'm talking about healthy sexual relationships here, right?
Or you mean like Trump and his daughter? Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that,
creepy at all.
A healthy man who's confident in himself is not going to want to control a woman, right? They're going to have an equal partnership, and
you wouldn't believe how rare that is.
Yeah, well, certainly, and
especially in redneck land.
CBC News. We're still on the same topic, pretty much. Iraq's atheists go underground as Sunni Shiite hardliners dominate. Who'd have thunk it? Apparently, atheists need to duck. These people are very much afraid of being discovered. And this guy says, I'm afraid of being discovered, then I would be killed. This may also harm my family, although none of them know that I don't believe. I mean, he can't even tell his own family members he's not a believer. That's not actually all that different from here, really.
No, it's very different from here.
Well,
you won't get killed here.
Right?
Yeah.
You're not going to get killed here, but
you can't even date. You can't even flirt. Right? Very different from here.
Well, yeah, okay. I'm trying to. I think we're kind of going this way. If you can't even tell your own family that you're an atheist. I mean, it's. There's a lot of people here who can't either. I mean, they're not going to get killed most likely, but they are going to be.
They'll be shunned and treated differently.
Well, in Jehovah's Witnesses, you are literally, shunning is an actual practice. It's supposedly loving, which I do not.
But
consider
at least in general, when you live in a secular society, religious people do get exposed to other groups, right? Whereas if you live in a society where it's only this and you cannot believe anything else, and you can't even date or look at a woman, and you're a virgin when you're fucking 30, that's a lot different than here, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So they spoke to about 20 atheists, and all these people are identified as under pseudonyms. You see, there's one other person who calls himself Darwin, who's an engineering student, says, have you ever heard of a militia that is formed by atheists? No, only those who have religion form militias and death squads. They are the reason behind
In Syria today, U.S.-backed fighters declared victory.
Thanks for the autoplay. NBC. I hate autoplay.
All these damn websites are like that. I hate it.
Yeah, they are the reason behind the destruction of life, the destruction of humanity, and I think it more so than any other. I would agree with them. Islam is the worst.
Particularly now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be a lot more free. Apparently, they used to get exchange ideas, but then the government is now cracking down. Colonel Rashad Mazel, a local police official, told NBC News that Moussa had been released. This is Ihsan Moussa, owner of a bookstore in southern Iraq. He was arrested for selling works that encourage readers to reject Islam. Really? Wow. Good. Unfortunately, they arrested him for this. This is apparently a crime in Iraq, and they released him after he promised not to sell the offending books again. But I mean, this is not a healthy society. Very low index, societal health index. I mean, it's terrible. And it gave even the intellectuals. Here's this Islamist intellectual, which is kind of an oxymoron. But anyway, researcher Ghalib al-Shabandar is alarmed by what he sees as a growing number of non-believers. And here I am going, yay! A wave of atheism will overwhelm Iraq because of the wrong practices of Islamic parties. They are what has forced people to avoid Islam and other religions. Yeah, it was all ISIS's fault. Whatever. That's one brick in the wall, sure, but it might also be because it's not true, Islam. Maybe. Just maybe.
Well, that's a catalyst that I guess people need to rise up and say, hey, I don't believe, right? Because I felt it's completely the opposite for me. Like, atheism was so normalized that I never felt compelled to,
Right.
It was just normalized. I'm an atheist. Nobody gave a rat's ass. Whereas if you speak out to be an atheist, and it's probably much more common than is permitted to be spoken of, you're risking your life, right?
Yeah. This is just anyway, he added, I hope that this wave of atheism is not going to grow. Get over it, dude. It's growing.
What's the term I used earlier? Critical mass. Critical mass.
Yeah. There's going to be. I'm just worried that there's going to be a real crackdown. There's another guy. He's older. Abu Sami, who's a painter. He waited 5 years after his wedding to confess to his wife that he did not believe in God. Who's doing that in the background?
Sorry.
Yeah, this guy.
Let me grab some bubble wrap and pop it, shall I?
Yeah, the good news is you're on a different track, and I can get rid of the post. This guy waited 5 years after his wedding to confess to his wife that he didn't believe in God, and it didn't go well. First, she refused to stay with me and threatened to tell her parents and ask for a divorce. Jeez. So
sounds about right.
She married him for his religion, apparently, not for his looks or his charming personality. Everything.
Is anyone actually free to marry in those areas?
I don't know. Depends on, I guess, what the religious background is. Eventually, his wife realized that she would not be able to change his beliefs, and those were long-standing. They were born during a childhood as the son of a communist, which I guess, yeah, great. But I'm not a big fan of communism, but atheism is kind of a part of communism. Though
no, it's not.
Well,
it's not.
Depends on the style of communism, but don't forget.
Well, no, atheism is merely the lack of a belief in God or gods. Well, when nothing to do with political.
Yeah, but communism actually.
Sure, it's been used to justify, but it's nothing to do with
atheism.
that.
So that's what I mean. It's
sure,
communism adopted.
But it's a political. It's essentially a secular religion, right? It's really got nothing to do with atheism. because atheism is a specific claim about a refutation of a specific. Oh God, I can't
specific
speak.
claim.
Specific claim.
And
it has nothing to do with any political idea. It's the claim is.
That
God
wasn't what I
exists.
said, though. Atheism is a part of communism. I didn't say communism was a part of atheism.
Okay.
When wasn't it Russia one of the first ones that became communist, and then they kind of used that as an excuse to squelch a lot of certain religions?
Yeah, well, there was oddly a lot of anti-Semitism, which was born out of the Russian Orthodox Church, which is kind of silly. The church was heavily involved in Stalinist Russia. I mean, you couldn't do anything without approval from the Russian Orthodox Church, and but officially atheism was the position on the God question in Soviet Russia. Same with Maoist China. Yeah. But anyway,
but that's state ideology. That's almost like a state religion, a secular religion.
Right. It is.
A religion without a God.
It
as opposed
is
to an atheist claim, right?
I never said it was an atheist claim.
What's up? Well, yeah, but an atheist claim invoked in the service of a political ideology as opposed to an atheist claim that's neutral.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So once you're positing a claim of atheism that's not politically neutral, then you're clearly engaging in the realm of politics.
Right.
And not taking seriously the fact that that claim is nothing to do with politics and everything just to do with refuting a specific claim.
Right, but you can't deny that communism adopted an atheistic stance.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
It just replaced the collective with replaced God with the collective. It was a secular religion.
Yeah.
Really. Anyway, that's outside of this. I love this. We used to hear that Islam is the religion of peace, but ISIS behaved like monsters, barbarians, and even worse. And that's.
And how is stoning people for being an atheist not barbaric as well? Like, I don't know how they're trying to separate themselves from them when they have the same behavior.
Yeah, he goes on. Their God did not tell them to kill prisoners. Did not tell them to kidnap and rape women. Did not tell them to take women and children as slaves. Is this a peaceful religion? It is not at all, and I do not want to be part of such a religion. I agree with that sentiment. It doesn't mean that, of course, it doesn't mean God doesn't exist. It's a position on Islam, right? I'm an atheist because I don't believe God exists. That's all there is to it. In fact, I'd go so far to say is that gods do not exist.
But that takes it one step further and criticizes the morality of,
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That takes you into the realm of anti-theism as opposed to atheism, I would say.
Yeah.
Because they're nothing.
Yeah. And in Brunei, oh great, the Sultanate of Brunei. They're right up there with Saudi Arabia. They've announced that the punishment for gay sex and adultery from April 3rd onwards will include death by stoning. I love this. I don't think I'd put it as time did. They said as the country moves forward. I don't think they're moving forward. I think they're moving backwards. It's implementation of Sharia. Oh, great. Yeah, other harsh punishments like the amputation of a hand or foot for theft are coming back into vogue. Great. Amnesty International is, of course, not too happy with that. It's appalling. I agree. Yeah, congratulations, you dumb shits. Right.
Yeah, it's trying to just not implement any legislation at all, which is, one would prefer to see gay marriage legal and all that kind of stuff. But it's quite another to actually implement legislation that specifically targets somebody.
Yeah.
Not that I'm good, but that is That is worse.
I bet apostasy has long since been a death sentence.
Probably.
I wouldn't be surprised. So there's no change in policy there, but gay sex was already illegal, but now they're upping the ante. And congratulations, Brunei, you're right up there with Saudi Arabia. How's it feel?
Yeah.
Pariahs. Great, lovely. What else? Oh yeah, anybody who doesn't know where Brunei is, it's on the island of Borneo, and is surrounded by part of Malaysia. There you go. Yeah. This one. Oh, sorry. You want to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say I'm right here looking at the Freedom of Thought report, and just let me give one quick clip here. Brunei, blah blah blah, and
they're pretty low, I'm sure, on the index.
Some pretty ratings. Yep.
Shock and surprise. That whole region, like Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, is kind of a weird mix. It's very weird. There's some pretty backwards, what I call shithole backwater countries.
Yeah. And I guess I'm endorsing the Freedom of Thought report, which is presented by the IHEU, International Humanist Ethical Union, which is now called Humanist International. They've done some really amazing research, and they update this every year. So if you want to detail of specific countries, it's an awesome resource.
Okay, moving on to New Zealand. This is from News Hub. Jews outraged after mosque leader blames Mossad for the Christchurch attack. Ugh.
Way to fan the flames of him.
Well, way to squander all that feeling of solidarity with the Muslim community, Ahmed Bamji. You douchebag. Here. I'm gonna play this piece. Here, let's get that up.
I will not mince words. I stand here and I say I have a very, very strong suspicion that there is some group behind him, and I am not afraid to say I feel Mossad is behind this.
Is that true? Israel's behind it! That's right!
Yeah, great.
Are they trying to start a goddamn war? Like,
well, it's just this whole, Islam, lots of places. I mean, Ali Rizvi would tell you that in the madrasas in the Middle East that anti-Semitism is part of the curriculum.
He's gonna let a white supremacist off the hook and blame Jews.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
Well, it's conspiracy theory because it doesn't think that any one person could pull this off. Of course they can. All they do is buy a ticket to New Zealand, buy a gun in New Zealand, and there you go.
Shoot people.
What really doesn't take much planning.
And it didn't take much money either, whereas this guy is thinking this took a lot of funding. Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, have you been to America? Have you seen the guns?
Yeah.
Come on.
And well, what's funny, well, not funny, but what's interesting is that after one, admittedly, this is a major tragedy, but it only took one major tragedy to change the gun laws in the U.S. Let's think about it some more. Jeez.
Yep. I still can't get over how this guy wants to blame Jews.
Yeah. Well, that's the Islam's dirty little secret, is the whole anti-Semitism that they actually are in. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, if they'd stop trying to wipe Israel off the map too, things could calm down.
The thing where everybody's pro-Palestinian, but what they don't tell you is that because all the children that are being killed by Israelis. But what they don't tell you is Hamas actually puts those children in harm's way.
Well, I know. I mean, Israel is constantly under defense as well.
Yeah.
I mean, and they honestly are trying to wipe it off the map. So maybe they stop hating Jews and blaming Jews for things a fucking white supremacist does. Maybe there'd be a chance of peace on Earth, but no, apparently that's never going to happen, and this just goddamn proves it.
Well, there's, in terms of U.S. politics, there are people who actually believe, that we're going to be raptured and, Jews will convert
to Islam. When it comes to compulsory hijab in Iran, in Saudi Arabia.
Got to stop that. There we go.
Oops. I hate these websites. They constantly, I've had to close so many windows just to keep these videos from playing too.
Yeah, and I was thinking about the other story, and I'm how tight the grip of these Islamic nations are in the Middle East on certain demographics, and I just wanted to play this little tidbit. Star Wars philosophy.
The more you tighten your grip, target, the more star systems will slip through your fingers.
There we go. Little Star Wars philosophy.
Thanks.
Thanks
there you
go.
Appreciate it.
It's a cultural. Did you recognize that cultural pop culture?
I saw the first one. I was a little kid, so I don't remember.
So what? You're not a little kid now. You tell me you haven't seen Star Wars? You're not going to tell me you haven't seen Star Wars.
Well, I think I maybe saw it a couple of times, but yeah,
maybe.
I'm sorry. Well, I didn't see the. Oh, I feel like I'm at confession, and then I have to start crying.
I feel like a Catholic priest.
Okay. You'd never forget the Ewoks. Come on.
No, I don't.
I'm a Jewish Catholic priest.
I guess the first one was good, and I enjoyed it, but after that, sorry.
Oh yeah, if you go back to it now, it's pretty funny and make all these Mark Hamill jokes because it's a terrible actor.
Oh sure, but that means it hasn't aged well over time. Right?
No, it hasn't. Well, yeah, it hasn't really. I mean, for the time, the special effects were amazing, but nowadays it's all about the special effects and story be damned.
Well, and Star Wars versus Star Trek. I'm sorry, Star Trek had interesting messages.
Yeah, I've never liked the message "trust your feelings." That is the worst
what's her
thing.
name? The empath person. What was her name? With a dark curly hair.
Deanna Troi.
Yeah.
We're talking about TNG.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
I don't. Like I said, I didn't watch the earlier ones, so I don't know about the intuition thing. But yeah.
I have no idea what the counselor is doing on the damn bridge. Get the hell off my bridge is what I would be saying.
Because you have to suspend your disbelief and buy into well sure it's character, sit back, relax, have a beer, smoke some weed, just buy into the character and it's all good. But
There's
if you
no
invoke your
goddamn empath in the original series, and for damn good reason.
Whatever, just suspend your skepticism and just enjoy.
There's a limit. There's a limit.
That just
I hated that character. I liked the Next Generation. I hated her character. What the hell are you even doing there? Yeah.
I thought she was good. Interesting and a mind fuck in terms of the premise of the show, right?
Women are so nurturing.
Well, it doesn't matter if they put a man.
Which women are nurturing? I can give you quite a few examples that aren't.
Send those letters to CHRIS. Yeah. I'm gonna be. My effigy is gonna be burned.
Do it, because I never get hate. God damn it! I want more hate in my life.
I don't get enough hate. I feel left out.
Yeah.
I feel so left out. You've made it when you get hate.
Yeah. I've only had one death threat. I'm very disappointed in that too.
Yeah, I've had it.
Well, apparently I'm on every anti-vaxxer list ever, so I'm pretty sure I'm missing out on all the death threats.
Well, you even had your picture posted as a public
enemy. Oh yeah, bitch to watch out for. Look out for this bitch.
Can you share the link on the site here or something? Because that was
you should. That was epic.
Yeah.
Apparently it pissed off fucking asshole misogynist fuckwit yellow vest.
Precisely why it's fucking awesome.
I'm gonna go on to this Iranian women's rights activist who, and this is the thing I've never understood about feminism, actually not just excusing a tool of oppression, which is what the hijab is, but lauding it. This is what she had to say, and I'm just gonna play this video. Okay.
I will not.
That's the wrong one.
Mince words. I stand here and I say I have a very,
very
strong
Shut up, you douche.
suspicion that there is some group of...
Stop. Stop. All right. Wrong one. This is it. Here we go.
And when it comes to compulsory hijab in Iran, in Saudi Arabia, the whole world keeps silent. And Iranian women, in their fight against compulsory hijab, they are alone. They are on their own. And when you say it's not true, I'm going to give you an example. There were 3 female politicians from Netherlands. They went to Iran the same day when one of the women of White Wednesday's movement put the headscarf on a stick and waved it in public, Shaparak Shajarizadeh, when she got arrested, the same day there were 3 female politicians from Netherlands in Iran obeying compulsory hijab law without challenging it. And the female politician from Sweden, they were very, well known when they started to publish their picture to mock President Trump's cabinet. It was full, the female picture and mocking the picture of President Trump's cabinet, which were all male-dominated. I was like, I love this picture. It's a good way to criticize a male-dominated cabinet. But what happened? The same feminists went to Iran. The same ministers in Iran, they obeyed compulsory hijab laws in front of the president. I said to myself, well, when it comes to America, they were trying to say women and men are equal. But when it comes to Islamic Republic, they were trying to send another message. Well, men are more equal than women. So the female politicians who go and visit to Iran, the tourists, the athletes, actress, all of them, when they go to my beautiful country, they say that this is a cultural issue. We wear it out of respect to the culture of Iran. Let me be clear with you. Calling a discriminatory law as part of our culture, this is an insult to a nation.
Yeah, well.
I can't agree more. And I will also criticize Trudeau, our Prime Minister, for participating in a ceremony or whatever the hell it was at a mosque where genders were separated, and to dare to call himself a feminist. I'm speechless on that, right? And
I put this piece on somebody who tweeted that, oh, don't listen to all the men on here, in regards to Ilhan Omar, saying that, I'll put up here's the tweet. She put this tweet up there. To me, the hijab means power, liberation, beauty, and resistance. And Gad Saad, bless his heart, tweeted back, absolutely, I would go further, noble Ilhan. The burqa is a freedom veil that represents modernity, secularism, and female empowerment. I love that. It's like, I guess even more powerful would be the niqab, right? But
the burqa is pretty much the most oppressive of the lot.
Is it? Maybe somebody could correct me. The niqab even has the eye slit, kind of meshy.
No, burqa has the mesh eye slit, whereas the niqab has actual.
Oh, okay.
Show your eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. She rejected this argument that it's it's a cultural relativism argument, saying, oh, it's their culture, as if there aren't value systems which are better than other value systems. I'm sorry, but we in the West do have by and large, better values. Sorry. If that's
and if I felt that those women, or if I felt that those women in other, countries where they're being oppressed actually did think that they were empowered by the hijab or whatever, I'd fucking be like 100%. But I know they're not.
Yeah.
We don't hear their voices. If you pay attention, like I said, even listen to the men, because they're the ones who can actually speak on behalf of their sisters and, blah, 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 right? There is an element of feminism there that we don't understand.
Yep. It's when any woman who puts on a hijab in solidarity, they're well-meaning, but they've just kicked women in the teeth who don't have a choice about whether or not they can wear this.
And would actually like to have a choice.
And desperately want to have a choice. They are willing to go to prison. And and they're not like our prisons.
Risk their lives.
Yeah, it's just, it boggles my mind. Some of this, is anti-colonialism. And it's mixed in with this cultural relativism and this wanting to be accommodating to Muslims. It's a bad mix. It's poison. And it's not helping.
If you're be consistent. If you're a non-believer, feel free to criticize religions equally, but also figure out, research into what particular religions are doing at particular historical moments in time. And here we are, right? Confronted with a religion that is wanting to create a caliphate. And again, don't get me wrong. What's the saying? If you can love the sinner but hate the sin, then we can love the believer but hate the belief.
Yeah.
So everybody should feel free to criticize any religion or any idea that they want to challenge.
Yeah, you can abstract this back to the ideas behind the hijab, and I don't agree with the idea that the hijab is empowering. What do these people think about women that don't wear the hijab? Do they think that they are not empowered, that they are not beautiful, that they are not modest? Because that's the implication.
Well, yeah, of course it's the implication, because we're dirty fucking whores and our hair is showing and we're wearing makeup and maybe showing a bit of cleavage and shit like that, showing our arms. How dare us?
Yeah. So,
I mean, we're just driving men to sin. I mean,
yeah, that's the other side of the coin. It doesn't say much about what they think about men, because obviously all we have on our brains is sex, and we'll take it by hook or by crook if you show us straight hair.
That's exactly what it says about men, Randy, and that's so insulting to men as well.
Yeah, totally. It's just beyond the pale.
Yeah, the fact that a man can look at hair and be
and go
sullied,
crazy,
and just be sullied by the idea of looking at it, like it's some dirty animal, or apparently not, dirty whore.
Yep. That's obviously, like I said, there's very many men who want to defend their sisters and that live in those truly patriarchal societies, and they want to protect the women that are in their life. So, not everybody, if you live in a patriarchal society, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad man or that you're not a feminist, right?
But you'd be surprised how many women go along with it too. Well, to the point of, it goes both ways. There's men and women that...
Linda Sarsour. Linda Sarsour. I don't want to, in terms of...
Don't get me started!
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to say that I don't... With people that wear the hijab, you're free to do it, whatever. But when you cross that line and try to sell the hijab, oh, no, all bets are off. I'm going to come at that person pretty hard. Like, how dare that person do that?
Well, I don't even mind if somebody's, innocent. Hey, try the hijab for a day and, see what it's like to be in our shoes. But that's innocent and, whatever enough. But when there's a political agenda, as sinister as what Linda Saussure is advancing, which includes anti-Semitism, that's an entirely different thing.
But she's not an anti-Semite. No. That's the Jewish media portraying her that way.
Yeah.
I can't believe when she said that. I'm just like, oh, man.
Oh my God. Yeah. So if you're a North American young Muslim and you're just kind of ignorant of, the politics underlying what's going on, and you want to share in your culture, it would probably be quite nice for you to invite your friends to wear the hijab. But
I got a problem with that.
Do that. I probably have a problem with that. But I can also understand the naivety that informs something.
Oh yeah, sure. But you have to blind yourself to the stories that are continually coming out of the Middle East about women who don't want to wear the damn thing and who are put in prison for taking it in public.
That's exactly it. They're naive, and because they've got this North American privilege and they get to choose, they think that all women get to choose, and they just don't.
No.
Well, and then I had somebody come to my daughter's school and try to educate everybody on why that's a good thing to cover yourself up and be this protected flower and all this other crap. And when she told me that, I just went off the wall. It's like, who told you this? Yeah. I was like, no, like this is control of women. This is, I had to re-educate my daughter on the spot.
It's like right up there with that lollipop. Do you remember the lollipop? The one that's got in its protected wrapper, and then the one that's open and it's got flies on it. It's like, which would you rather have? And and it was in relation to, well, what happens when you have sex for the first time when you're married? Does she become like the unwrapped lollipop,
dirty,
covered in flies? Like,
but it's different. It's different when you're married. That's sacred and yada yada. So somebody came to my daughter's school and tried to sell that garbage to she was in grade 4. So
the problem is women are burdened with the honor of their family. It's an honor-based.
And you get to kill your female relative if they dishonor you.
and we've advanced to the dignity culture, which but now there's this whole victimhood culture, which I can't stand.
There's always extremes.
Go someplace else. But anyway, we're getting afield. Anybody anything else to say on this matter before we move on to the last couple?
Well, you won't catch me wearing one of those, I'll tell you that.
Same. Yeah.
And don't call it a headscarf. It's not a headscarf.
Sorry.
It's
I get mixed up on what's a kneecap, what's a...
Yeah, hijab is but it's that is much more than just a headscarf.
Yeah.
Symbolically speaking.
Yeah. My grandma used to wear a headscarf.
Polish. You did?
Yeah.
Yeah, up until, I don't know, before I was born kind of thing, but they were expected to have some kind of, a hat or a scarf on their heads.
Yeah, my grandma always put a scarf. It was almost see-through too. It was very sheer.
Yeah.
And it'd be yellow or pink. It'd be a pretty color, and she'd put it on over her hair before she went outside every time.
Okay. I just knew Catholic people that did it for Sundays. Yeah.
She was Polish or Ukrainian or something. So she it was almost like, I always thought she was cold. I always wondered, why is she always cold?
Yeah.
I never got to ask her why she did it before she passed away, so...
that's too bad, really.
Yeah, it would have been interesting.
Yeah.
That was the Polish grandma with the Ukrainian grandpa, I think.
Well, that's pretty heavily Catholic,
that's
right?
Very Catholic.
Yeah. So, up until, I don't know, a generation before my mom, I suppose, they were it was pretty mandatory to wear some kind of head covering to go to church. To separate yourself from God, right? Same principle, Abrahamic religions and their nonsense.
Yep. Well, all religions and their nonsense.
Yeah.
So I guess we can move on to the last little bit. It was just a couple of stories on medical assistance. There, now I'm tongue-tied. Medical assistance in dying. We have a story from Spain, and it's a terrible story. Angel Hernandez, he assisted his wife, Maria Jose Carrasco, in dying. She was a long-time sufferer of multiple sclerosis for 30 years. She actually tried to kill herself one time when her husband was away. And of course, at this point, you know how that disease progresses, and you become less able to do something like this. And he, anyway, he made a video, and assisted dying is not legal in Spain yet. And in the video, he adjusted the purple blanket covering his wife before asking her whether she was ready to die, and she said, "The sooner the better." And he was arrested. But he was released by a judge, and so this is sparking a pretty good, healthy discussion in Spain. And the government in power would like to move forward on a dying with dignity law, but they also want to do a law on palliative care, which is fine. They want to do that first, and I think those two go hand in hand. Palliative care, good palliative care, and medical assistance in dying. And you, Bishop Fred Henry, screw you. You can have both. You know, Catholic Church would have you believe that, oh no, we need to improve palliative care because that'll fix everything. No, it won't.
Yeah, no kidding.
You'll still have people in need of access. I was reading a story in Quebec. They're having trouble. People in outlying areas are having trouble accessing, and that's a matter of logistics. But that's true for palliative care too. Palliative care is more difficult to get. Good palliative care in rural regions, but it's getting better. But that's not a reason to nix medical assistance dying. So
they'll grasp at any straw they can. So
yeah, they have the whole redemptive suffering thing is sick. But to begin with,
yeah, if he wants to choose that, go ahead. But I don't want to.
Yeah, leave the rest of us the fuck alone.
Yeah, you don't have to access it. You're not in any danger of being murdered, which would what it would be if they did
it without your consent. Yeah.
It's just like we don't force people to gay marry, and we don't force people to have abortions.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Oh, but the rest of gay marriage, changed what marriage means to me. Like, no.
Yeah, I can see all these, all divorced people I know after gay marriage was legal. Oh my God, nobody's
turn them gay. Turn everybody gay. Whatever.
Yep. There's so many more gay couples now than ever before. No.
It's just that they're more visible now because things have changed. Thankfully.
Well, now they've got rights. And, I'm sorry, the argument, that it's going to affect heterosexual marriages is ridiculous and clearly proven incorrect.
Yeah. The sanctity of the institution.
Yeah, bullshit.
Sanctity to it, it's a contract.
Yeah.
It's contract law. You attach sanctity to it, go have at her. I don't care. It has nothing to do with the definition of marriage.
That's your thing,
Yeah.
The rest of us will conduct ourselves in a secular manner, and you can shut the fuck up.
We'll
leave us the hell alone.
Them behind.
Yeah.
Scotland. There's a poll that was commissioned by Dignity in Dying Scotland, and they polled over 1,000 adults, and 87% backed the move for terminally ill people with less than 6 months to live, with safeguards, legislated safeguards, etc. Just kind of like Canada. I don't want it limited to that, because there are situations in which people would wish to die, and they're, a debilitating illness which loss of control, loss of mobility, not just mobility, but loss of even the ability to swallow. ALS patients are in danger of choking to death. I mean, that's not a very nice way to go.
Yeah.
They've already lost so much that, some people just say, you know what, I've had a good life, but this is enough. I can't take any more of this. And I keep coming back to my stepfather, who I'm sure would have made use of it. Absolutely positive. Because he withdrew from food and water anyway, right?
Yep. I had a grandparent that did that. It looked painful.
So good for Scotland. But I'm a little concerned in Canada because health advocates fundraise to build a home for patients seeking medically assisted deaths. And I hate that we've come to crowdsourcing in Ontario. This is in Ontario. And we're probably going to have to do that here because of the accommodations that the Alberta government has made to Covenant Health, which is a Catholic healthcare provider for palliative care or hospice and stuff like that. And
and according to the Catholics, that government is still not doing enough to accommodate them. So
my version of
accommodating them is not helping.
My version of accommodation is end all funding for Catholic healthcare institutions. Gone. You just became secular. Get over it. Done.
Yeah, I agree.
If you want a goddamn priest, call it in.
I keep saying in Edmonton, 90% of the palliative care beds are controlled by Covenant Health, and they won't allow medically assisted dying. What's that?
On the other hand, how many of those staff, palliative care workers, that kind of thing, are willing to give the right to die with dignity without necessarily having it, brought to the attention of management, so to speak, right?
Yeah, there's
people that are willing to do the kindness. Yep. I know. My grandpa was in a, that's pretty much how things went down. It was just no longer cruel to keep feeding him and blah blah blah. So essentially, they just gave him, swabbed his mouth with water. All food and water were taken away. And it didn't take very long. It's not like he, died of dehydration or even starvation within days. He died of natural causes because of, right? Yeah. And so it's not like people haven't already done the kindness many, many times throughout history. It's just that now we can do it without secrecy.
Yeah, it's not like the doctors didn't give an extra dose of morphine to somebody.
Exactly. Yeah, that too.
That asked for it. It's basically in places in the U.S. There was one study that was done that showed that it was about the same rate of legal versus illegal medical assistance and dying. So it's not like things are really changing. It's just more visible, and it's out there, right? It's
illegal.
It's in the public eye. Yeah, and legal.
Yeah.
And as well it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the government is still, on certain things like advanced directives, doesn't want to touch it. And it's like, that's on Wilson Braybould. And that's one of the reasons I'm kind of glad she's out of caucus in the Liberal Party. And I really,
but she sure is making a mess of things going out, though. Oh my God.
She is eviscerating the Liberal Party here in Canada.
Justin Trudeau. We're going to get Andrew Scheer for our next PM.
Yeah. I mean, it's like
Great.
a shit sandwich
We're gonna go...
a douche. I mean, that's what you're left with the choice, right?
Yep. Canada's going into the shithole over all this. We're just going to have a Trump for friggin' Prime Minister, too, now.
And in Alberta as well, we're going to have Jason Kenney, who's the ultra-conservative party that just cannot seem... Did you read the thing with Charles Adler. They did an interview on talk radio, and the transcript was, Adler considers Kenny a friend, but boy, did he rake him over the coals. He tried to get him to apologize for when Kenny was in San Francisco. He was very anti-gay, and it's interesting. His views have changed on that, but he wouldn't apologize for treating gay people badly in the AIDS epidemic during the 80s, and gave him 3 opportunities and said, you know what, I've given you 3 opportunities to apologize and you still won't do it. And Adler was not happy. But he said, this is the point I want to bring up, is that he said that Kenny that your party seems to be attracting bigots and white supremacists.
Yeah, if you look at
and Kenny says, I don't think that's true. And I'm like, are you kidding?
Well, then when they shipped in that one female, they shipped in specifically. She's part of the rebel. I just posted an article. The guy belongs to a school where they have the same. It's a college in Alberta. Yeah, the candidate. That college there has the same rules about you can't have a gay marriage, you can't have sex before marriage if you're going to work there, and all that stuff.
Literally,
if you look at all UCP candidates.
And that's the background of this guy, and they say, oh well, our views have evolved. Well, to what? What are they now? If that, I'm willing to cut people slack if they believe something wrong before and change their minds. I mean, I don't believe we should be penalizing people that have changed their minds. But
that's the difference.
They haven't said that they've really changed their minds, right?
Yeah.
What do they believe now? What do you believe now? Are you against gay marriage now? Are you against women's reproductive rights? Are you or not?
Meanwhile, NDP candidates keep getting bombarded with, oh, are you going to protect the rights of us to have these religious schools and have these children taught as per our, well, the of course well, no, they're not saying that, but that they're getting bombarded with, if you don't do this, well, we're going to just vote for the UCP because they'll give it to us. Of course they will. They work at those damn schools where we can't have it be gay, where you can't to work there and everything else. Like this one guy is right on the board.
Yeah, religion is the last bastion of legitimized bigotry, right? Anti-gay,
and Alberta is
choice, whatever.
Bad for that. It's terrible. Yeah. That's why we're going to get Kenny for frickin' prime minister.
Yeah,
but it's everything is desperate gasps, right? I think most of us, most Canadians are kind of repulsed by politicians that put their fucking religious beliefs out on their state. Sorry?
Except Alberta.
Yeah.
Well, even still,
You should go see how popular Kenny is.
It's about rural versus urban too, right?
Big time.
Yeah,
and then this whole ridiculous argument about fiscal responsibility. Okay, well, the Conservatives ran us into the hole after 44 years. You call that fiscally responsible?
Yeah. And
you're going to fall for that again?
The government in Saskatchewan balanced the budget. It was the NDP government. It was the what's his
everybody
name?
Keeps saying
Grant Devine.
The opposite of reality. It's the NDP that balances the budget. It's the Conservatives that left everybody in a hole, but they keep saying the opposite, and everybody believes them. It's like
the biggest deficit ever run was done by federally was the Conservative government.
Nobody will believe that, though.
The sum of the previous 50 years of Liberal government's deficits combined.
But nobody will believe it.
Conservatism does not necessarily mean fiscal conservatism. And I'm not a big fan of fiscal conservatism anyway.
Yeah, I think it's bullshit. You don't balance the budget by cutting everything and leaving a humongous infrastructure debt. That's not balance. That's leaving everybody out in the fucking cold, less access to education and healthcare. Like, that's No.
Yeah, we've
that's not
already
how
been
you
cut to the
balance.
bone, and they want to cut further. That's crazy.
Yeah, Kenny promised 20% cuts across the board,
That's
which he's trying to backpedal on now. Bullshit. He'll do it.
yeah. Did you watch the debate?
Man, that was horrible. 45
yeah.
seconds to talk. 45.
Yeah.
Nobody had a chance to.
I didn't
it
like
was
the
ridiculous. It was a mess.
I didn't like the format. Personally, I would have liked to have, okay, you get to present your policy. You don't get to mention even obliquely anybody else here. You present your
It
policy.
turned into
what
a
you're gonna
shit
do.
attack show.
And then you
Everybody-
get to ask questions of the other candidates.
It was quite funny when dipshit Kenny tried to talk about the equalization payments. The equalization payments that he came up with the formulas for as a Fed. Every single other candidate reminded him of that.
Yeah,
That was the best part, and that was the only part I liked.
I took one of those political spectrum things.
Like
you know,
a
put
bespoke
you on
compass.
Yeah, and it turns out I'm actually left of the NDP. Which
Yeah,
is weird.
the Alberta NDP is not left; they're centrist.
Yeah, they
So
very much are.
If you want a centrist government, keep the NDP.
Or liberal.
Unfortunately, in Alberta, I don't think the gay guy whose last name is Khan is going to be very popular. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. But I liked him in the
racist and anti-gay, so
yeah.
It's bad enough Notley's a woman.
Yeah.
And the Liberals are leaning a little too far right from me.
Really?
On some policy,
well, it's like you just said, Randy. You're left of the NDP.
Yeah.
So the Liberals are
on that compass.
Spoke
They actually
compass,
had the NDP and Liberal almost right on the same spot.
They do.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
When you go on the topics they ask about, and it's so funny.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate between the NDP and the Liberals, and how is that going to split the vote? So, yeah, there's not much to differentiate.
Liberals are so unpopular here because Trudeau. I don't think anyone's going to vote for them.
Yeah, well, it's a shock. It was a shock when the NDP got elected, and it was an absolute shock. Nobody saw that coming. Not a single pundit.
Here in Alberta, but I miss Jack Layton as a Canadian leader. He was really good, and
and then since then they've just gone to shit.
Yeah, it's sad that the federal NDP are pretty much ridiculously anti-pipeline, and people mix that up with Notley, who clearly isn't.
No, yeah,
she's actually got more pipeline. She's fought for pipelines more than any conservative ever did.
The pipeline thing was because the Liberals were incompetent, and that's what happened. That's why
but they're blaming Notley.
And
Notley Kenny kept trying to. Kenny during that debate kept trying to go, "Oh, your buddy Trudeau," and no, sorry, but Notley does not view Trudeau as her bud. They're not buds. But he's trying because he knows how much people hate Trudeau. He's trying to tie them two together now.
Yeah, and that's
You mentioned Trudeau like 20 times. You could have got drunk. Every time Kenny said Trudeau during that debate, you could have got drunk. I'm sorry, but this isn't a federal election. It's provincial. But he so wants to tie Notley with Trudeau.
Yeah, absolutely, because because Trudeau's the bad guy. And whoops, I'm wrong.
So,
yeah,
I don't know.
So
politics in Canada is a goddamn mess right now. So
it is. There's a brand of conservatism that I actually respect, and but it ain't.
It's not
the federal version right now or the provincial version right now, and like Joe Clark, I would definitely have voted for. But that's a long time ago, and conservatism is
to the Alberta Party now.
Yeah, me too. I wasn't old enough to vote, but yeah.
I wasn't in Calgary when Joe Clark was around, but his flaw was that he just wasn't a good leader. He was, however, he was. A lot of people have called him, and I think they've got a point. They've called him the best foreign minister Canada has ever had. And so he was a man worthy of respect, and there was quite the choice between Pierre Trudeau is very unlike his son. Pierre Elliott Trudeau was an incredibly smart man, very, very intelligent. His son,
and well hated too. I mean, that's their only similarities. They're both really despised.
Yeah, and Trudeau, the father, surrounded himself with very, very smart people. I mean, Chrétien towards the end got very jaded, but during the 80s he was a brilliant minister of the economy, and things have changed. It's not, conservatism isn't like it once was, either here or in the U.S.
And something really dumb about federal politics. Scheer is saying that the Prime Minister's lawyer is threatening with libel suit over SNC-Lavalin.
Yeah, and I just couldn't care less.
It's just such a goddamn mess.
Who cares? That was the big news announcement today. I'm like, really? That's it? That's your ground-shattering news? Whoop-de-freaking-do.
But apparently, you got to take down the Liberals because there's this whole thing, because they're so awful, and we're going to get Andrew Scheer, the jackass Trump wannabe, instead as the leader of the country. Great.
Yeah.
All right,
not
just
a fan of him either. The guy has this smarmy look on his face. I want to wipe that.
And he lies. He lied about the UN. He gets yellow vesters all hatted up. I mean, that Scheer is why we have yellow vesters. Ugh, it's disgusting.
I'm not so sure about that.
Oh, I'm pretty certain. I'll go to bat on that one.
They were always there. They're just now.
Yeah,
I
because
think it's still
he
more
fans the flame. He lied. Scheer lied to Canada about the UN Pact, and every single yellow vester repeats that lie. He empowers them just as much as Trump ever did.
I think it's more Trump. I don't think Scheer has.
The rebel has
kind of ignored out here.
The rebel has an effect. That guy calling me a bitch.
Was he from the rebel?
Well, the rebel gets them fired up. Scheer takes talking points from the rebel, which gets them fired up, and then Trump gets them fired up too. They're all enabled by the rebel, by Scheer, by Trump.
Anyway, on that note, I think we should close this out. We've been on for, a long time.
Oh dear.
Can I just shamelessly promote something?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
I will be speaking at the Dare to Care conference in Richmond, Virginia, starting Saturday, April 13th, and going on to the 14th. I'll be giving a presentation on the 13th about skepticism and rhetoric. And what's up?
Where is that again? Sorry. Richmond? No.
Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
So
not to be confused with Richmond, British Columbia.
True. Yes. Well, do, but not this weekend, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be on a panel on the Sunday. So, yeah, shameless self-promotion, and also promote the conference. So, if there's listeners that can attend, I hope to.
I wish I could, but I'm avoiding America right now because I can. I'm glad you're not, Chris. I'm glad you're contributing.
All right, so say good night, everybody, and I'll close it out. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.